Hello and welcome back to the channel, and we're going to play another one of our PGC Royle Club design courses. And this one is another one of the alternates. We're looking at Royle Club by Rebs. Rebs is a designer I don't know all that well, which is kind of the case with most of the alternates. Like, that's not abnormal by any means. But I'm looking forward to what this one brings. Now, I'm just going to load up the form that we've got. So he says back tees, so that green it is. I like that we got a short course. It's not something I tend to go for myself that often, so it's always interesting. No further conditions is a must. South wind's what you play for one round. We'll go with that. Now, we've got McRainer par 3s. We've got a road hole. We've got a modified on the 5th. Alps, Cape. Excellent. We like those things. Let's go medium and let's go south. What else do we have? It's an easy CC course. Excellent. Nothing in particular. Starred after country clubs in New England from the Golden Age. Great. As ever, yeah, just let's go. All of that stuff in, all of that stuff that he's put in the form is just to give me an idea of what sort of things he's thinking. It's not really held against you or anything like that. Just gives me an idea of what you were going for. Okay. Definitely got the country club vibe, and yep, I can see the McRainer stuff with the bunker style, certainly. We've got some interesting shapes, like this fairway has got a lot going on. The big rocks, again, interesting. Like you've created we've got a river, which we like rivers. And we have a lake, I assume that's going to be the Cape. Oh, and we've got rocks in front of the green. Oh, no, that's between two greens, thank goodness. I was going to say, we're dicing with death there. And you've done retaining wall all the way around the base of the lake. Might want that to be a little bit higher, but... Okay, and we've got boundary holes, and yeah, there's definite Golden Age influences here, for sure. One thing I will say is I've never been a fan of in, like, autumn, or, like, which we're in, is like the singular dotted red trees. Now, it might just be a me thing. I have changed the stream name. You refresh, it's changed. They just, also partly the autogen ones, you can see some of them come out really, really small, some of them come out really, really big. And I know it's not a big thing, but people will pick up on that stuff. Like, you got to be looking everywhere. So I'd have a little look at that. Additionally, like the sunken bushes, I probably would avoid the one of every colour. Like, the more you can clump stuff, the better. Yeah, I know people have probably sick of hearing me say that, but it generally works. Like, the one of every colour dotted everywhere is, I know it can happen, but it's very hard to pull off and make it look natural. Whereas more of this works much better, I think. Where you've got kind of muted greens and browns together. Like, the bright colours are really hard to make work. So yeah, looking forward to this one. I have no idea where I am. Am I somewhere down here? I presume so. That's a driving range. I do like the you've taken time putting this stuff in. That works nicely. Yeah. And you've given your clubhouse a good amount of space, which I appreciate because I do not do that. I always make it tiny. Took 2 refreshes. Well, yeah. It's all your fault. Where am I? Oh, I'm here. Cool. Let's give this a go. So cart path, as you can see from that little thing, just the spline, you spend time tweaking and making it really smooth and like that. It's painful and it takes a while, but hey. Okay. Right. Bunker sculpting. If you are going to go these shapes, people are going to expect them to be flat bottoms. They're kind of bathtubby, so that'll be something that I suspect is the case throughout the course. If it's present on hole 1, be present on a lot of them. I think you want to be going flat bottoms, and those are a ton of pain and hurt, but if you're going for this course style, I'd properly embrace it. Things I do really like, I think your fairway edge on this side and the way that breaks in here and then carries on works really nicely. That bunker string looks great. This bunker feels maybe a little bit divorced. I'm not sure you need it. You could just have fairway out here and like let people play out. I guess not. That's your angle. Equally, the little kind of ramp up here, I'm not sold on. I'd probably be flattening that out a touch, but only because there's no other feature like that around. Oh well. We made it to the top anyway. But good sightline into this green as well. Like, it's another really solid course. I love like the way you've integrated so many different tees back here, and the grasses you put between them, and like the way this whole area works together, and like the view from that first green is really nice. So you've said easy CC. I will tell you that immediately this is not easy CC based on the green. Easy CC is like the bottom tiers of CC will still make lots of birdies. I think they'd find this and this quite hard to deal with. And it's quite a small green for a relatively large approach. Relatively not large, long-ish approach if you don't thread the needle on those two bunkers at the start. There's quite a lot going on there for a CC course. I like the framing on this one. You've got... that's it. Cool. The trees over on the right-hand side that this was kind of banked into worked really nicely. I like this. We don't get enough courses like this where it's just like a kind of nice parkland environment. Oh, didn't pay attention to what the green speeds were, but it seems like it didn't matter. And then you've got the different stuff with bringing the rocks in, which again kind of fits the New England vibe you're going for. Okay. So we've now gone drive ball 4. Now, one thing you'll immediately notice is your fairway texture here is going all kind of squiggly. Now, that's because you're really close to the water. And there are two ways around this. First of all, you do the best way is to do a second water plane underneath. So you put, assuming this isn't the base water layer, which I don't think it is, take another water plane, lower it 5 feet or so, press again, and for whatever reason, all of this texture will magically go back to exactly where you want it to. That's also what allows you to run fairway straight into the water. But that's why this is going janky. The other way is just painstaking flattening around the edge of it and just raising it up, and like it takes a ton of time. But yeah, that's why this isn't quite working how you want it to. I do really like the retaining wall work at the bottom. So and the good thing with the remove heavy rough tool that we've now got is that you can really easily do your second water plane and then come back and create, if you wanted this effect with like the brown stuff, which personally I don't think I would. I'd do like your heavy rough, I think would look really nice all the way to the edge. And then your retaining wall and then into the water. But you could still do that. Now, as a drive ball 4, this is I'd like more of an option to hit 3-wood here. Like, give me a bit more space out this way, because my landing zone for driver, yes, it brings this more into play. But if I'm taking on this amount of risk with 3-wood, I may as well hit driver and potentially get home or be really close. I have to hit an inch perfect shot with 3-wood and land it about here, not to run out of fairway. So why would I not just... I've got more of a margin for error with driver, really. Kind of similar with 5-wood. So like, it's, if I'm not driving it, what's my next good play? And it shouldn't be drop back to 3-iron. But that is what we're going to do. Now, do you know we're going to go 5-iron and then we'll have a full wedge. I don't really feel driving the play is worth it on this one. There we go, still got more than a full lob wedge in. Ah, just missed. I really like the brown grass. Would like you to probably be doing like these grassy areas. Keep doing them. I don't think you need the coloured bushes, or like if you do join the bushes up, like that would be great. Thought I had it. Disappointing. And yeah, I like the little bit of planting just here. Like those grasses, I'd probably sink them a little lower or make them a little smaller. They'd probably look a little bit big, and chuck a couple of other grasses in there. But like the fact that you're taking the time to do that stuff works really well as well. again, really good so far. The quality of alternate courses has really impressed me. I still think your main thing is going to be bunkers from this course. Like, this style of bunkering, there is just nowhere to hide. And unfortunately, with obviously we don't have any of his courses in this game yet, but with Joe G out there, like, and yeah, Evangelists and other courses, we can't be anything less than perfect with those. And it would make this really pop. The thing that makes the flat bottoms work really well is you can go really severe with the faces. I've got a tutorial on that on my channel. Do check it out, have a go with it, because I think that would really lift this course. What did I do there? Oh, nearly. I mean, I have a fair few of his course files, but I'm not publishing them until he gives a say-so. Or rather, I would I know he's got a code, it would be quite nice for him to just hop on and publish them. I miss JG too. Yeah, Scottish, if you want any of the files to poke around, just pop me a message. They're so much fun to learn from. I love the green that you've done here. These two bunkers, really, really cleverly placed. The green shape and the way it tapers to like this little mound as well. Love. All of this. And what you've done on this hole that you didn't do on the previous one that I really like, or the second rather, you've given me more of a bailout. So, but I do feel we're pinching 3-wood a lot for no real reason. Of course he is. Hey, Paddy. So you're encouraging us to fade drive around here and challenge the water, and then we get a good look at that. Although, yeah, I could see an argument for playing this from the outside of the dog leg and to this pin. So I don't really mind. As long as we don't do that. That's fine. But yeah, playing to the outside of the dog leg, I've actually got quite a lot of that tier to work with. So that could work nicely. Ooh. They were awful music-wise. Yeah, maybe if we all just bombard him with Discord messages, we'll get something back. He teased a return a little while ago, but to no avail. I like that hole. Okay. So here we've got presumably out of bounds the other side of there. Ooh, okay, we do not. That feels like a misstep. Like, granted, no approach is going to be easy, but this should definitely be out of bounds. Huh. I like the hole, though. The bunkering looks really good here, actually. I like the way you've staggered the bunkers down this side. I don't really feel... They're not really in play. Well, maybe that one is. Seas Hazard. I felt like this hole was going to play a lot longer than it did. I guess it's because the fairway started very close. Yeah, if you look at how much of that fairway I've covered, and like if that's 349, this fairway is starting. Okay, well we can work this out. So that's 100 yards. So we're starting the fairway 120 yards off. Probably want to be doing it about 180, which I'm presuming is about here. And then this would all make a lot more sense. But it just feels like we're taking out of play a lot of bunkers. They looked really good though. I like the green as well. Like you've done something a little bit different here. Oh, perfect. Hey, Teach. Yeah. Not quite as good. Again, bunkering here, like where you're placing them is really, really good. I'm really liking the environment. It's growing on me big time. I think you can probably do a little bit more with your tree choices, like the singular points, for lack of a better word. They can't. If you look at some of the golf wolf courses, or hesitate to say it, but Petty's courses with tree lines are really good at the moment. Look at how the canopy kind of works as a line. That makes a big difference. All right, so sort of a semi-blind tee shot. Again, none of these bunkers really in play. Well, at all. Yeah, we're starting the fairways a little bit early. I guess that's to fill some of the space, but it would be cool to have some hazards in play. Particularly on a par 5 that's not that long. Well, I mean, your fairway does choke down a decent amount. And we are going for easy, so we've got to bear that in mind. You'd probably want a little bit more planting up on this hillside as well. Yeah, I guess that green's doing a good bit of defending. Okay, well, we'll just play for the centre of the green. Or we won't. Nah, we won't. It's fine. We didn't want to anyway. Yeah, enjoying it. Another really solid alternate course. The one of every colour vibe on this hole feels a little off. There's just a bit too much of a dominance of the bright reds. I know New England can get like that, but good wind for this. I can see why you specified south. Because now I'm having to think about if I don't get all of this, then I'm definitely in the water. I would lose this bunker, I think, and the hole becomes a better hole. I'm okay with these two because that's making me think about hitting 3-wood, but we don't want to then take it out completely. I still think hitting down this side is the play. I like the raised green side. That's a bit different. The green side so far have been really good. And the little ridge that separates this from that other tee is nicely thought out as well. But like mounds on both sides works nice. Yeah, pretty nicely. I'd be a little wary of the green running you just off into fringe. Don't probably try and keep balls on the green, specifically that slope. I don't much care for. But yeah, otherwise, solid. Oh, there's a bad swing. Well, that's not the place to miss. And it's gone. And it's gone. Yeah. Oh well, deserved it from that horrendous approach shot. I keep forgetting to look at what the green speeds actually are. 147. They feel a bit slower than that. Oh well deserved bogey. Another good looking par 3 green site. We've gone Biarritz. Of course we've got Biarritz. The only thing we'll say about Biarritz is you want to be able to run it through the swale. This one's kind of more a back tier than actually a Biarritz. You've got the swale as in but the concept of Biarritz is you land it on the front and roll it up and through. At least that's how it's kind of developed. Yeah, I like the green site. I don't know. I don't love the hole. I think, to be honest, I've seen enough Biarritzes that they have to be pretty special for me to really like them. Quit on the swing. Although this is definitely the most fun pin for it. Because hopefully we can just slap it somewhere up there and... yeah. Oh, it didn't come all the way down. Fun par save at least. I don't know how I feel about the big rocks. I will accept I don't know New England all that well, other than for having an annoying football team. I do like the dip on this side of the fairway. That's a good feature. I will say you're generally, I would say, over bunkering the starts of your fairways, which will make your sightlines a bit muddied, for lack of a better word. Takes kind of clarity away from the bunkers you really want people to care about. I like the green shape and the way that it's benched into these bunkers. Long par 5. Oh yeah, we're okay. Yeah, okay, so this is our long, presumably. And like, you're thinking about where you want to lay up if you can't quite reach, which we can't. Again, you've nailed your wind speed and direction, I would say, for what you were suggesting. I think I'll just go for it. It's all carry and it just has to stop when it hits it. So I don't know if... Again, if this were a flat bottom, and like, let's say the whole of the bunker is flat, I would love to see this mounded up more as like a barrier on the front. Yeah, that's always the risk. Oh, and that has sat down as well. Yay. Okay. That's gone better than I thought. Yeah. It's just a couple of things, I think, on the holes that would take it to great. There's a lot of really good stuff. Is this a path? Okay. This feels kind of a little out of place, the green slopes. They feel... I know it's been kind of man-made before. This now feels really man-made and artificial in a way that the rest of the course hasn't. And it is doing the strategy. I really like this as a feature. I think you've done that really nicely. I like the bunker string. I think, again, it would look better if it were flat pan bunkers. I also wouldn't go with just dead stock rectangles unless they're right up against the green. Typically, even the Rainer courses don't often do like the really long stock rectangle. It's definitely going to defend against you driving the green well enough. And like, I guess the risk is you short side yourself and you chip back and forth. 3-wood down here is probably the play, right? Okay. And start. Nice. I think the hole's probably a little bit too short. Because if driver would have just about carried to here, or you play up to here, I think that's an... maybe not. I don't know. There's something that didn't quite work about the tee shot. I can't put my finger on what it was. I do think it's probably a little bit too short, but I liked the... I think if 3 would have gotten you to the end of maybe that alternate little bit of fairway, that would have worked quite nicely. Sometimes it takes a lot of messing with these distances. Redan, of course. It's not quite got the sloping, it's more just a... Because a Redan is like the front right kicker that tilts you towards back left. This is more a backstop than a Redan. But it's kind of got the concept. I do like the long, narrow tees as well, surrounded by the grasses. That's worked really nicely. I know that's a weird thing to say I'm appreciating, but I think it works well. Let's try and take it at the backstop then. Yeah, not quite. And the mounding around the greens has been really good. Again, really enjoying it. I'll be honest, I expected to have a lot more talking points and like things to critique on all of the alternate courses so far. It's been nice. I guess hug the high side. This bunker doesn't really do that much for me. One thing that you'll see Rayner and Banks and McDonald do is generally dig bunkers into the fairways rather than just pop them at the sides. That would be a real thing to take away from this, I think, as well. So when you have done that, like when you've done it with your rough, like the rough mounds that have cut into fairways, works really well. And you'll find it influences strategy and just makes you make better fairways as a result of it. Hey, Ribby. I'm sorry, I can't remember your first name. I probably should know it. I do. I'm sure I do, but I just can't remember it. But yeah, we're just playing our second alternate course. This is going to be me for the evening. I was only ever going to do two. Corey, that's the one. Yes, and I know your surname. Begins with a G. It's a very cool surname. Yeah, I'm going to do two tonight, and then I'll get back to main field probably tomorrow night and play a couple, if not afternoon, depending on how the kids are. I like the green. I don't love the spine at the back. It's probably just a little too narrow, this point of green, to be able to house a feature like that. You want it a bit wider and then shuffled over, and then it can direct pin balls either side. You don't want it being like a, I guess, too penal, especially on mid-length par 4. It just looks very long because you're starting the fairways really short. I wonder to what extent that's just not wanting to plant. It's just a sneaking suspicion. That'll do. Yeah, as you can see, the slope from this is getting a little too close to the pin because it's all trying to work this way and then it's immediately meeting this big feature you put in. It's usually a sign that you've shoehorned something in and not given it quite enough space. Oh, dreadful part. Again, I like that we've come back to the lake a little later on. And this is the other side of that green. What course does this remind me of? What is the course that does these two back-to-back greens around a lake? Oh, what's the one you're drawing from? I forgot. No, someone will know. I've seen like one picture that it's jogging my memory of. The other thing that I think you're finding tricky is that all of these surfaces are just a little too low to the water. By raising it up, you're not taking the water in. It's not Bay Hill. Screw you, Forest. I mean, I know Bay Hill does that, but that's not the one I'm thinking of. By raising it up as well, what you're also doing is creating that bank for balls to like hit and roll down rather than being dead flat. Also, from a real life, like realism point of view, it looks like they're raised up for a bit more drainage. B, drainage would happen. C, you just want it not looking pancake flat when you're looking over here. A little bit of elevation would make a big difference here. That's really hard to do after the fact. The way to do it is just have the land a bit higher and lower the water and then just dig down the sides. That's the way you get it. Right. Something there. Oh, that's stalled a little bit. No, we're okay. It's a good hole. Again, like, your main stuff is technical, to be honest. The ideas are right there. I'd say technical and then just a little bit of your surfacing and like where you're starting stuff and like how big certain features are. Both of which you'll pick up really, really quickly with a bit of looking around, just being pointed in the right direction. This par three's fine. It's kind of... I don't know. It's not doing that much for me, if I'm honest. I like the green site. I think the bunker sculpting again, if you'd gone proper flat bottoms, that would have really helped. The green site and the view from here looks... What the hole's actually doing on the green is perhaps a touch one-dimensional of just dividing left versus right. But I do like the planting in front of the tee. That's worked nicely. Again, like, this is something you will learn, but par 3 identity took me ages. That was the thing I always found hardest to inject strategy on. So I think that's been a couple of years I've really been working on par 3s. They take time because they're not as like, there's just a one shot and everyone's hitting the same one, and you're also always hitting from the same location. So how can you inject variety there without making it feel like completely different holes? Presume this might be our 11. I guess. It feels like this landing zone's a little too choked. And maybe redirecting the stream so it cuts across this way would have been good, rather than having it there. If you cut a stream across dead straight or horizontally, then you're basically meaning that you either have the right club or you don't. If you do it diagonally, or like if you route the hole so that the creek, ideally if you route the hole so that the creek goes diagonally across it, then suddenly it becomes a whole spectrum of like, well, I have the club to take it here, but if I'm going here, then that's bringing much more trouble into play, etc, etc, etc. So it's partly just about where you're laying the hole down, or depending on how you do the plot, where you're putting the creek in afterwards. That said, I would probably like a bit more fairway out here, but it's a short par 4, so I don't need it. I'm just going to hit a 3-wood down there. And that should be alright as well. Struggle to really get started scoring on this course. I do think it's too, like this pin, for example, is definitely too difficult for CC. This is like a kind of an elite pin, really. It's all light green. And that's tough. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really template spotting. It's just because he's mentioned there's a couple of them, but not necessarily all of them. I like the green a bit more propped up. Again, the spine, like it did on the previous hole where you used it, the double one, on that drivable par 4. This I'd lose. It just feels too manufactured. I'm sure they have done. I don't know of McRainer courses where there's just that single spine going through. At least I don't know yet. I'm not an expert. As in, I know a lot, but I don't know what. Not an aficionado. So there might be some, but either way, I don't know. It just doesn't really feel like it fits. It feels like it's just I haven't got an idea for this green, so I'm going to chuck this across. Which might sound harsh, but it doesn't necessarily feel integral to the strategy. It's just kind of there. Which is a shame, because I think you could have done a lot with just the hard runoff here and like, let's just taper the green back this way. Let's make it narrow the further you go, and let's make it a hard runoff on the back, and therefore you want to hug as close to the right-hand side as you possibly can to generate that little bit of angle. Playing at it from this way while you're hitting more towards that false back. But as is, it's quite a wide green, so we're not... There'll be some pins for which that comes back into play, but also this little slope is preventing you putting pins here, because I think that with that and that, you can't put one here. I suspect you have, but I don't think you should. So therefore, you've taken away that as a feature, in my mind, because of this bit. So smooth that out, then suddenly you've got a lot more green to play with. Sometimes it's often it's how your slopes interact as well, rather than just that one singular slope that you've got. Oh, we're on a pitch, of course. And it held, luckily. Not quite. I'm appreciating the effort you've gone to with the backdrop and like making it feel inhabited. I think you probably want a tree line that blocks out the long views, so when we get those little cutaways, as you can see through some of that stuff. And you can see behind it, and you can see it's a little bit empty. You want to give the illusion that you're just on the outside of that village, and like there's a lot more houses behind it, but obviously we don't have the meter for all of that. But when we spin around, we don't really want to be seeing all the autogen trees and like the empty space in the background. Like there's ways to hide that stuff. Just try to find them. I guess being defaulted to 3 would on a par 5 I don't love. I love the closing green complex you've got. I think that's great. I played from the right tees. I have. It feels really, really short. I know it was meant to be really short, but it feels like possibly overly short. But then, again, you did go CC, and I'll be interested to see what other judges make of this. Who maybe don't have the longer driver, because I feel like I can just kind of overpower this. I love this green. There's a little bit of surfacing stuff here. And here, like, you can make this mesh much neater. And I also wouldn't have a red slope that drops you towards the bunker. Like, that's just sculpting you will get better at. If you flatten this as well, you have a really good pin right here on a risk-reward par 5. Personally, as is, I'd probably have this as a 4, but I'm not going to turn down the potential eagle. I would also like to see the water from here. That's like a little bit of sculpting and just lowering that part in front. It's not a good shot. Disappointing. Well, we do sort of have a putt at it somehow. Down a foot. Ugh, don't like this putt much. I feel like it's very easy to overhit that. There we go. So that's Ox Royle by Rebs. Again, like, alternates this contest so far, really, really impressed. And another one I could see definitely making it into the main field. Like, I know all of them so far, which is awesome. That's genuinely much, much better than I was expecting, certainly, than like more what I was hoping for. Lots of stuff I liked. A few things that, like, it strikes me that you are an alternate because you don't have that resume of getting through that many courses yet. When you get more of them, like, you will build those skills and you'll be getting into this sort of contest automatically. And that kind of shows with some of the things that we've seen. So, like, the bunker sculpting is one. And, like, if you go for this type of course, you've got to commit to that and at least give it give the flat bottom stuff a go. It's tough. But you kind of want to do, like in a contest course, you want to do some really challenging stuff that's going to make judges go, yeah, that's technically really difficult and takes skill, therefore it gets you credit. Like, easy doesn't necessarily score all that well in courses. As in, what's easy for us to do? Things that I think will help you, have a look at real courses. Like, go on Google Earth and go, where did McDonald's start his fairways? How far off the tee were they? And what was kind of green size, and what are the distances and things like that. How did he integrate bunkers into a fairway? So how did he cut the fairway shapes around them? What were the green shapes like? What were the features? Like those sorts of things. Because there's some of it that you got really, really nicely, but some of it just felt a little off, like the spines in that drivable par 4/5, I want to say. That would be one, for example, that I just didn't really feel that worked all that well. I really liked how you used the lake, and that came in nicely. I thought the river you could probably use a little bit better, like try banking a green into it on one side, or have it as a diagonal hazard rather than horizontal. Like, that will bring you much more fun and like better golf generally. Green sites I thought were really good throughout. Particularly on the front line, I thought there were some really interesting ones. Trying to think what else I would be mentioning. A few technical things, like, for example, the retaining wall and like the water's edge, and then bunkers as aforementioned. I'm trying to think what else. Par 3s would be another thing I'd look at. like on a plot like this, you've got to find the absolute best sites. You kind of did. And actually, I thought most of them were in good sites. You probably just want to have a bit of a better understanding of how you can make a path 3 strategically interesting. Things like looking up Eden short, like Biarritz, I think you took, and Redan you took, for example, but neither was quite doing what they needed to do by the classic definition. And if you're going to put spins on them, you have to be really, really careful. Otherwise, I don't really have that much more to add. Yeah, and I think the final thing would be just like your planting, like just take your time, really go detail work with that, particularly on the edge of the plot and like that village area. Just try not to leave blank spaces, which we kind of saw on that par 5 on the front, and behind the houses on the par 5 on the back, maybe, or the 4, either 13 or 14, I think, or it could have been 16 actually. Anyway, that's kind of all I've got. I really enjoyed it, and again, like, we're gonna have trouble narrowing down to like the top few that do make it through, and obviously we'd never wish that anyone drops out, but it's good to know that if people do drop out, that we've got some really good quality replacements. So yeah, thank you for tuning in and stopping along, those of you who are watching. We're going to do another stream tomorrow, probably. I will hopefully do one around 2 p.m. GMT, if not, definitely in the evening at some point. But yeah, thanks for watching along. Hope you enjoyed, and see you again soon.